This is Dr. Nuri Saleh with the Power of Change, Radio Sierra 1575 AM. I'm sorry I haven't just put the knob here. To continue with you, what is thinking? Okay. The definition of thinking, which everybody knows. As I've told you, I'm not going to these complicated terms and definition from different discipline and knowledge. Thinking is mental activity. It's, in fact, mental activities, not one activity, activities, many activities. These activity working in the waking, conscious mind awareness. So the person is thinking when he was awake. Well, if somebody sleep, of course, there are dreams. We don't know exactly if these dreams are thinking or not, but they are dreams. There is no impact of those dreams in your life. While thinking, there is an impact in your life, or should be. Either the impact is in reaction inside you to make a decision or a plan or something, you do it. You practically do it. So it is mental activities, a group mental activities, number one. Number two, it is in the wake state, in the awareness mind state. Thinking, a process when you try to understand something, to learn something. That's why, remember when I told you about learning, the capacity of learning, when Allah created, after He created Adam, this is one of the features of a human being I've told you about, remember? When you try to learn something, when you try to understand something, thinking is there. Thinking will be the advanced step before you have a conclusion or an idea in the form of a plan or whatever. So you will apply it. The process of thinking has got factors and elements. Otherwise, there will be no thinking. What are those sources? There are so many sources. Some unknown sources we don't know. Allah knows, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we think, we cannot stop thinking. There is no way to stop thinking. But we can control our thinking. And that's what I'm going to tell you. You can control your thinking. And you can make your thinking positive. You can make it positive and take the advantage of it. And of course, you can make it negative if you want. It's up to you. But we need to learn how to do it. And learning is the capacity Allah gave it to you. Every human being can learn. So let us say, what is the components of thinking? Let me try to give some of them, which known for us. Number one, the present time reaction with things. What you see, what you hear, that's a component of thinking. But that will give you something. Seeing, sight, and hearing. Right. The challenge you are facing every day, that's a part of thinking, stimulate thinking. So they are component of thinking. The challenge you have, the reaction you have towards things, different things. Even if you drive the car and you stop on the red light, there is a thinking there. You stop. Why you stop? There is decision. There is thinking before decision. Because you know the red light in the traffic means you have to stop your car. And when the green light comes, you will go. This stopping and going in the red light and green light means you have a decision made after thinking. So this is something everybody have it. Right. Then we have the past memory. Whatever your past is, either happy memory you remember or something sad you remember. There's a part of thinking. Right. If you are ambitious, you have goals, hopes, you want to do something in future, that will be a part of thinking. Good. Your desire is a part of thinking. Your instinct, it's a part of thinking. Allah made it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So can you see? It's so many components for thinking, for the process of thinking to be taking place. The process of thinking taking place through these components. There's another component, which is very dangerous component, an inevitable component, and we believe in it, which is shaitan. A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan ar-rajim. Which is the devil. Devil is a component of thinking, because he's got the ability to penetrate everywhere. He can be a part of your thoughts, a part of your ideas. He can be a part to exceed your desires, to push it forward beyond the limit. Our instinct is there, created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to eat, to drink, to have our own living activities. This is normal. Shaitan is there to increase it in a way, to become unlawful and abnormal. We have the control. Yes, this is another matter. We'll talk about it, inshallah. Now, the control in the form of values and morals, they are a part of thinking as well. So there are only, this is some elements of thinking. How thinking is taking place, the process of thinking, mechanism of thinking, we don't know, because we have to think. There is no way, there is single minute or second without thinking. You're thinking all the time. But we have some highlights from the story of Adam. I have to go back again. It's very important, actually. Adam mentioned the Quran 25 times in different verses of the Quran, in different surahs. And every verse about Adam, they've got certain angle. But all of those verses summarized in the point I've told you about. Allah created Adam. He gave him the ability of learning. He taught him, then gave him freedom of choice, then the test. Allah gave him this. Now, the shaitan was there in the story of Adam, as I've told you now, and shaitan seduced Adam and put him in a way using the normal instinct and desire Adam has. Despite what Allah said to Adam, although Allah told Adam, do not listen to shaitan, he is your enemy. But shaitan got this ability where he can make things good in front of you. The bad thing, the unlawful thing, he make it very good and attractive, and then he will drive you there. And you've got the motivation. He will use it. Control is there. Sometimes we don't use. Like somebody is driving a car, he forget about the brake, speeding 120 miles, and then the brake will not work at that time. If you press the brake, you will have an accident. So it happened. The motivation is like the acceleration of the car. We should not speed it too much. If we speed it, sometimes we can't control it, because the control is proportion to the speed. If your speed is moderate, you can control by using a brake, no problem. But high speed, difficult for the brake to be used. Sometimes not advisable to use a brake at once. You have to just make it in steps and once slowly. We come back to Adam's story. Let us say, number one, learning capacity. Number two, freedom of choice. Based on this learning capacity and freedom of choice, the test is there. The test is there. So the component of any test we have in our life should be based on learning, awareness, then freedom of choice. Then we have to decide. Decision is up to us. This is the meaning of freedom of choice. We have the freedom of choice. We have the ability to choose what we're going to do. And that's why we are responsible. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pure justice, made it entirely up to us according to our freedom of choice. Whatever you have in your record at the day of judgment is your own work, based on your own choice. You have chosen it. Allah gave you, subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything in front of you. These are the steps of the devil. These are the steps which lead you to destruction, unlawful. misguidance. And these are the steps of guidance, righteous. The steps would lead you to the lawful things, will lead you to Allah, will lead you to paradise. And you have to choose. Allah gave you freedom of choice. And based on your choice, based on your decision, you'll be accounted. You are responsible at the day of judgment. Whatever you have in your record, your own actions. That's pure justice. That's pure justice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Right, good. Now, let me come now to thinking and language, because that's important actually. What's the time? Time's okay. Alhamdulillah. Still I have about 10 to 15 minutes to go, and then I will stop, inshallah. Because I want you to understand step by step. Now I'm going to talk about thinking. I've talked about the component of thinking, the mechanism of thinking. We need some component for these thinking process to take place. And these components I've told you about. Some of them. And I've told you that devil is a factor, is a component of thinking. Because it's got the ability to penetrate in everything. Right. When you go back to Adam's story, I've told you that there are three main factors, which is in all the verses in the Quran, that Allah gave Adam the knowledge, Allah gave Adam freedom of choice. He has got the test. And then Shaitan was there. The decision based on freedom of choice and learning. Now, freedom of choice and learning is a part of thinking as well, because learning, in fact, is a process. The learning, very difficult to define again. But when we learn something, we know that we learn something. We need to have effort to learn something. If you want to learn language, for example, we need to have the alphabets, and then we have to practice the language with those of native people who they speak in the same language, and we have to use it. So this learning of language. If you want to learn engineering, you need to have certain concepts through textbooks and teachers, and then you go further slowly. Your knowledge will accumulate every year, and then you will be engineer, and then you have to practice the knowledge you have. And you have some practice, of course, due to the laboratory work. You have it during your study, and then you become engineering. So the learning process, we know it. We learn so many things. And it's not necessarily learning is based on reading and writing. And I have said that before. Learning is wider definition, more than reading and writing. Reading and writing is, in fact, sort of ways to learn. It is a medium for learning, but it's not the only way to learn, because we learn so many things without reading and writing. So many things. Values, for example. We don't read about them. We just receive them from our parents or the society. Right? So there are a different way to learn, but the learn is much, much, much wider than reading and writing. Right. Now, the story of Adam gave us this. And now we need to look at language and thinking. I have said before, if you remember, before 7 o'clock news, that there is a connection between the name and the meaning. The name of and the object which this name applied to. This connection is very important. We cannot call the dog cat or the cat dog. There are different names. The cat applied with a certain animal, and the dog applied with a certain animal. If we confused and use this name to the other and the other name to this, that would become confusing, and it's impossible for us to have a communication. Life will be very difficult, I think. It will be impossible. So name is important, language important, and terminology and terms and names are applied and connected with the meaning. Connected with the meaning. Right. Let me give an example before I come to the crucial point where I can tell you that this language is very important. Now, medical doctor, the word doctor. If you are in the hospital and they say this Dr. Simon, Dr. David. You know that doctor means, so one word, only word, but applied to something I need to explain it now. The title doctor is applied for a person who studies GCSE and choose certain topics, physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, and he has to get certain grade, 6 or 7, in order to do A-level. Then after A-level, go to the university and medical school, and he study different topics, different knowledge, different different discipline regarding to the human body, disease and treatment. When he finish 5 years or 6 years, he will continue postgraduate study if he wants to become a specialist, and he is a medical doctor. Can you see the word medical doctor or doctor is one word, but apply for maybe 10 years of activity, 10 years of variety of knowledge, but nobody will ask, what's the meaning of medical doctor? What's the meaning of doctor? Same thing if you say he is a farmer. Farmer is one word. Who's the farmer? Farmer, person who's working in the farm. Plantations and plants and put seeds and use water. And there are so many activity and time applied to the name farmer. And so many things in our life, we have the same thing. You know, there is a dispatcher, which is the person who has got so many documentations before the flight. He knows the time of the flight, and he knows the technical check of the flight, of the airplane, of course. He knows the number of passengers. So many duties applied to one name, dispatcher. And we know that one. So in our life, we have so many names, we never ask about it. It's not a puzzle. That's why if you have a strange name to a person, he is something, you say, what's this? You don't know. Because you need to know the specific duty of the person according this name being applied to him. If there is something strange, there are so many strange names, of course, you need to ask about the duty, the function, the purpose, what's the property, what he's doing. So you know that this name is applied to him. Connection between the name and the meaning. Connection between the name and the implication of name, the impact of name is very, very, very important in language. We have it in our life, and you will see the importance of this fact I am telling you now when I come to the first journey of the revelation to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a history, plus the importance of language in our life. This is Dr. Nuri Saleh with the Power of Change, Radio Sira 1575 AM. Stay with me. I'll be with you, inshallah, next week. I'm going to talk about thinking and language. I hope to see you then, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.